Hi, my name is Joshua Michael, and I am here to do a short little tutorial video on green screen setup, lighting, and camera basics. Alright, hey guys, Josh here. I haven't lit up the whole room yet. I have my key light over here, bounce card over here. Behind me you see the green screen, and I'm going to go through a process here just kind of explaining things. Now I've set this up actually, Daniel, for you, as you had said something about the fact that you have like 8 feet, I guess, in your living room or wherever you've set up your green screen. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to set up, or try to set up in the same style or same manner as that, so that you can see how much room that is to operate with. Right now I'm standing almost directly in between the camera and the green screen. First, let's cover a couple of basics about lighting. Okay, this is a key light. It is my key light, and it is shining not directly on me and hitting the green screen. If I back up here and I move the barn doors, you'll see there's the light, and what I've done is I've taken the light off the green screen. This is because my two green screen lights, my two soft lights, will be shooting onto the green screen. Now I've tested all this beforehand, and I'm probably going to use 2 more of the softbox lights, but I have a little more room to play with. Daniel, you said I believe you have 3 lights. I believe I would use 2 on your green screen and 1 for a key, meaning key on you. If you don't have a bounce card, a very quick, easy way to get a bounce card would be to run down to the nearest craft store, Walmart, whatever, pick up a white poster board or a white, you know what I'm talking about, a white project board would be fine to use too. As I'm looking at this, I'm not actually looking at the camera. Over here, and I'll show you, I'll do a cutaway to my B camera. I do have 2 cameras running so that I can show you the camera setup as well. But I have a monitor here that I'm looking at so that when I move my hands around, I know this is my bounce card, my key light, and I can direct my arms where they need to go based on what I'm looking at on the monitor. So that's that. I'm going to take a minute here, and I'm going to show you actually turning on the lights off the green screen and cover a couple of green screen basics with you first. So let's start with that. Over here I have my soft boxes, and I have two soft boxes that are set up, one there, one there. I wanted to make sure actually a little bit of the softbox light hits me in the back. Part of that's because I don't want to bounce a 4th light bouncing on the back of me if I can avoid it. I may not be able to avoid it, and I may need another one, so I have to take that into account. But when I've turned these lights here like that, now when I'm standing here, I've got the key light on me, and I'm being hit in the back with a little bit of light from the soft boxes. Now, the soft boxes come with a cover that I'm not using for this shoot, partially because I need the bright green effect. The soft boxes aren't bright enough to bounce that green. I think it's a little easier to use a little harsher light on the green background, as long as that green background isn't bouncing off me in post. So I actually prefer that. I'm going to talk about the green screen for a minute. If you look here, you probably can see all of the wrinkles in this green screen. Okay. What normally I wouldn't have put this up like this, but for the purpose of this tutorial, I've decided I wanted you to be able to see this so that I can reference it in this example. All of these lines, all these creases, if they're in your fabric or on your green screen, when you key out, it's going to create what we call artifact. And that artifact has to be, through the levels of when you key something out, has to be dealt with. Otherwise you wind up with artifact in the background when you post your background behind your subject. So it is better not to have any of these creases on your scrim or screen at all. So what I'm going to do actually after this is I'm going to take this down, throw it in the washing machine or the dryer, run it in the dryer. I wouldn't necessarily recommend putting it in the washing machine unless you're using a fabric that actually can handle that. This probably can't, So this is, I may get this damp, but what I will probably do is wind up taking this green screen, putting it in the dryer, and running it on fluff. And then I'm going to immediately pull it out of the dryer and hang it. What I wouldn't do is put it in the dryer and leave it there for 15, 20, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever, because you'll wind up with creases again in your fabric. You want to hang the fabric when it's warm. That way, as it hangs, all those creases and anything left is worked out of the green screen. I learned that, unfortunately, through a painful process. So that's that. All right, when it comes to the lights, I have a couple of things. This is a bell for a floodlight, okay? I bought this on Amazon. However, when I first got into film and video, I was trying to get film lighting. I would not recommend doing that. So I would run down to like Lowe's or Home Depot, and you can go to the lighting department and you can actually pick up like work lights or work floodlights or whatever for really, really cheap. First of all, lighting is lighting is lighting. It doesn't matter. You don't have to spend an arm and a leg for a cheap piece of metal that you can run down to your hardware store and pick up for a lot cheaper than that. Go into the hardware electrical section, pick out your lighting. You can get work floodlights for much cheaper than I got those stupid Bell floodlights for. It was ridiculous. Okay, I do have a Fresnel light here. That is one that I chose to get because I was working on set as well, and I've got a whole lighting setup that I needed. But for this project, I would simply run down to a hardware store and pick up some floodlight bells, and then whatever size bulb you want. Remember, wattage is important, so if I would use probably between 100 to 120, 150 watt bulb if you can find it. You can use a floodlight. Remember, the amount of light also will need to be diffused depending on how harsh that light is. Okay, so that covers that. As far as camera equipment is concerned, we're going to jump to my B camera. Okay, so this is my camera setup. On top, I have my lav mic, and for those of you that have never worked with one before, it basically comes in two pieces. You have the receiver, and that piece I put on my camera. I point the antenna up. You want to make sure that when you put it anywhere near the camera, if you're going to put it on the camera, that the antenna is not facing the same direction as the lens. Otherwise, it'll dangle down in front of your lens, and you'll see that little antenna in front of your camera. So always make sure you have it aimed not in front of the camera, but any other direction outside of that. Okay. The other part of that is, you see here my lapel mic, and in the back here I have my receiver. Okay. And that is plugged directly, the receiver is plugged directly into the camera itself, and then my lav mic is sending the signal to the receiver, and I've taken my mic, wired it up through my shirt, like they do in the news broadcasts or some of the interviews you've seen. They have that little lapel mic. That's what I did, and I ran it up underneath my clothes and out one of my buttons holes. So that's how that's set up. I also have a monitor here. Now, I don't know how much equipment some of you have. I know some of you have probably access to more equipment than others. Up here I have a monitor. This monitor is my key monitor, and it's facing me because I'm the only one shooting. I'm shooting without a secondary camera crew, so I need to be able to see myself as I'm speaking to the camera. What it also does is, instead of looking directly at the camera, like for example, on this camera here, I'm not looking directly at the camera. I'm actually looking just off camera at the monitor as I'm speaking. We call that indirect line of sight. Partially, you don't ever want to look right at the lens. It's just a rule in film. I would highly recommend doing that. There's something about breaking that fourth wall when you actually look at the camera. There are times when you do it, but for presentation purposes, in this context, I wouldn't necessarily do that. You can if you want to. Again, I have been trained in film. You'd never ever break that fourth wall. So that's kind of a personal decision you have to make, okay? Anyway, the monitor here is so that I can, when I'm standing back in the back, be able to see the myself when I'm speaking, so I know about how far to go, my arms need to be before they're going to be outside that green screen scope. Now we're going to talk about the green screen scope. Okay, so you'll notice when I stepped back, I was outside of that key light, and I stepped back into it. Make sure that you're always within the key light so that you're lit up on the subject and identified from the green screen. Now, if you look behind me, you'll see this haze right here, okay? That haze is where my arms cannot go past. Why? Because one, when I key out the green, okay, anything that's in this shadow area is not going to key out right, okay? That's why I had said I may want to get 2 more lights and light up that whole green screen. Also, I want you to know, I'm going to back up, and you'll see my arms go that full length of the circle. Yet as I come closer to the camera, now all of a sudden the tips of my hands are outside that green screen. That means that anything that is cut out of that, if anything is cut out of the picture, my arms are going to cut off right at that point, and I'm going to wind up looking armless. So I need to know this is my area of working, okay, right here. When I'm speaking, as I'm speaking to the video, I'm only going to be able to use this much space when I'm talking to my audience. I don't want to use large arm gestures, okay, because all of a sudden now I'm outside that area that's lit up, okay. Now, I could work like this with just this, because I can actually crop it, key it, and I know about how far my arms have to be so that they stay within that crop mark, okay. I wouldn't mess with that. I just would know I need to keep my arms right here, okay? However, if you get some more lights, you can light up the whole green screen, and that will clearly widen the area of your arm where your arms can actually go to, okay? But you have to know, look, most of us don't need to be making big arm marks for this presentation anyway. I'm just making the point for purposes of this video, okay? So that's that. I'm going to cover a couple of things as far as when it comes to green screens and lighting on the face, and some issues for you women that are shooting when it comes to clothing and lighting and that kind of thing. So first, covering the green screen. If you don't have a green screen, or you don't have access to one, like Michelle said, I wouldn't go out and buy one. They are fairly expensive. However, there are cheap ways of making a green screen. If you have a garage and you have a wall space that is blank and flat, you can actually run down to the hardware store and pick up a key green paint and paint a flat green on the wall. Again, you don't want a glossy green, you want a flat green. Why? Because I don't want the light shimmering off that fabric, okay? Or off the paint, I'm sorry. If you want to go and try to look up and get an actual green screen or make one yourself, they can be made fairly cheaply. My first green screen I made cost me, I think, a whole $9 after all was said and done. So you can actually go down to the fabric store, walk in and say, hey, look, I'd like to make a green screen for a video production I'm doing. I'm looking for a key green fabric or material. They're either going to know what you're talking about or not know what you're talking about. If they know what you're talking about, they're going to say, oh yes, of course, we know exactly what you mean. If they look at you like a deer in headlights and they have no clue what you're talking about, just tell them, look, I'm looking for like a very bright green, almost fluorescent type of fabric. When you look at it, make sure that it is flat. It's a flat material, meaning it's not shiny or sheen or shimmering, because you don't want the light creating a super white spot in your green screen. If it is white and you're keying out green, that white spot will not go away. Okay, So you want a green. Now you can use other colors. One, I would not use a black, and I would not use a white. Part of that is way complicated of an issue. When you see people presenting things and they have a black background, they actually had a green background, they removed the green and put a black background behind that subject. That's usually how it's done. There are other cinematic ways to do it by using black fabric, but I'm not going to get into all that. So, as far as the green screen is concerned, that would be my suggestion to you. I'd simply run down to the fabric store, ask them for a green material, go in, make sure it's a flat black material, and you want about a 7 by 7 foot swath of it if they have it. Okay, so moving on. For you men, I am a 41-year-old man. In fact, I just turned 41 today. Today is my birthday. So anyway, because of that, not my birthday, but because I just turned 41, I am starting to lose the hair on the top of my head. Oftentimes when we're shooting under lights. Lights cause sweat. Sweat causes our shininess on our skin that we often, women oftentimes, they get all made up. We usually don't think about makeup most of the time unless you do a lot of film and you're in that mindset. So my advice to you is make sure that you get like a powder base of some sort that matches your skin tone, and I would just go over your skin with a powder to make sure that you don't have a sheen, because again, if you have a sheen on your face when those lights are hitting it and you try to key out that green screen, that sheen may pick up the bounce off the green screen and it will key out part of your head. So that having been said, my suggestion is that everybody wears makeup of some sort, at least a base, in order to make sure that sheen, you don't have an issue with it. Also, if you're going to shoot and you wear glasses like I do, note that the light will bounce off those glasses. Okay. Now you can put a diffuser in front of that light. If you know what that is, great. It's basically a very thin piece of paper or plastic that you put in front of that light, and it'll diffuse some of that light, and you can actually get some of that brightness off, or the glare off your lights. If that doesn't work and you don't need the glasses for the presentation itself, just remove the glasses. No one's going to know the difference. No one's going to know, oh hey, Michael was wearing glasses, because they don't know you. So if you can do it without the glasses, my suggestion is take the glasses off and do your presentation. Nobody's going to care, nobody's going to know. However, if you can't see hardly at all without your glasses and you have to wear them, okay? But you cause less issue for you in post by just removing the glasses and doing your presentation than keeping the glasses on unless you absolutely have to. So that's that. Also, women, when you pick out your dress or your outfit, and I don't mean dress like a dress, but I mean however you're going to dress for your presentation, okay, do not wear or do not use shiny fabric, okay? You'll notice that I'm wearing a gray shirt. This is actually the shirt I will be presenting in when I do my presentation. Why did I choose gray? Well, for one, gray is a neutral color. One, it also doesn't bounce green off of it very well, and it makes a nice line when I go to try to key out myself and key out myself. When I go to key out the background, the gray, I don't usually have to deal with any kind of sheen, no shine, no bounce. Darker colors are always better. Black, red, dark blue is fine. Anything that's going to contrast in a bright way. Do not wear green in your shirt. I'm even talking about just a green logo, okay? Any green whatsoever. No green. Why? We're keying out green, okay? That means all green from your background. That includes any that you have on you. If you have green in your earrings, guess what? Part of your earrings is going to disappear. Okay, it's a joke for the women, but green is going away. That's why we chose green. Do not wear green anywhere on your body at all, okay? You're going to wind up with a big mistake, okay? I did it once. First time I'd ever shot with green screen, and I wasn't paying attention, and my logo was green on my shirt, and when I went to key it out, I was like, oh, I can't believe it. So, anyway. I've tried to make this light and lighthearted and fun. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have any more questions, please let me know. I've tried to cover everything that I can possibly think of to cover. So I look forward to seeing everyone's presentations. Have a happy and safe spring break, and we'll see you in a week.